Looks like everything is working to me. So what do we got today? Well, uh, we got ourselves some imps to paint. Also, I just wanted to show these off because they're really neat. Maybe too much light? Less light? Yeah, less light. All right. These are the Wargames that landed Mounted Knights. They're really fun. So they're gonna go with my like racist. What are those called? Like Scarlet Blade, not Scarlet Blade, Scarlet Crusade Knights that I have. Yeah, they'll just have some cool mounted versions. So we've got a bunch of cool options with these cool like animal headdress things that are really neat. This one's got a bowl. So yeah, pretty fun stuff there. But today we're going to be working on these little guys. And what the hell are these? So these are Wargames Atlantic goblins for Oathmark. And they. The arrow's a little bent. Let's fix that. I thought they would make really, really cool imps, like imp infantry for some demons. Um, because I've got these ultra cool demons from the Frostgrave kits, and they kind of have like a pseudo realistic kind of fantasy like aesthetic to the armor, right? Like they look more like something like I don't know, from a Peter Jackson movie versus from like Warhammer, right? And I thought these guys, since they're a little bit shorties, would make really cool imps to go with them. So I'd kind of have demons that are kind of in armor like this, and then imps that kind of match. I thought that would be pretty darn cool. Um, so yeah, these demons are really fun. They're really, really neat. So I kind of wanted some like just little imp infantry to go with them. I thought it'd be kind of cool. Um, so maybe to have them show up as like bad guys of Frostgrave or the StarQuest stuff we're doing, maybe something like that. I thought would be pretty neat. All right. With that being said, let me throw some of these out of the camera, and I think what we'll do is I think we'll try to paint up. Let's try to paint up 3 of them. I think. I think I've got I've got 2 sets of 3 spear boys. So I think that's what we'll do. Yeah, so we'll try painting up 3 of these guys. Yeah, make ourselves some cool imps. So first off, for the demons, I kind of want to keep the same kind of colors, right? So they have this bright red skin, which is this red here, a bold pyrotic red from Proacryl, so we're going to use that. And then they have kind of like a dark chainmail color, which is dark gunmetal. And then they actually have a new color that I really like from Wargames Atlantic. Not Wargames Atlantic. Army Forge. Army Painter. I'll get there in the end. They have this new color that I really like. So let me actually turn the other light on. Give me 1 sec. That might help, as I feel like they're a little dark, I proceed to knock everything over. Um, yeah, that helps a lot. Okay. Yeah, they have kind of this like new. It's sort of a like rough iron color, but it's got like a green tinge to it. I just found it last time I was at the hobby shop. It's called Death Metal. It's a cool color. I am really digging that color. But let's go ahead and let's get some of the skin painted first, and we'll go from there. So these Oathmark goblins are a lot of fun. They sorry, I don't really finish that up later, but I'll spin it over for now. Um, they have like a very kind of like varied personality to them. Like some of them look like something that should be from Labyrinth, and some of them look like they should 100% be from like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. Um, where the hell my other paintbrush went, I don't know. That's a problem because that's the main paintbrush I need. Uh, Poopy. Where the hell did that go? Paintbrush down. Uh, okay, I gotta get a new one. Give me a sec. Oh, it was it was in the paintbrush box. I don't know why. It should have been on my desk. Oh well. So yeah, they have this really kind of like varied look to them, which I think is going to work really well as imps because that same varied look is in the Frostgrave demons. Like we have some of those there that are like goats, and then some that look like almost like Muppet kind of demons, like very cartoony, and then there's ones where they're like just like in pure armor, right? So it's this really kind of big. I'm actually gonna switch to the bigger brush for this. It's this really kind of big variety in those models, and I think these guys are gonna fit that same kind of feel really nice. So yeah, pretty excited for that to be honest. Now I could just use my corn demons and stuff, but to be honest, I kind of been really enjoying these like multi-part plastics. Um, they're kind of like the models I'm sort of focusing on this year because I kind of always the last couple years every year I've tried to like start one new kind of game, right? And this year I was like, you know what, I'm gonna actually pick like a model range kind of more than a game and use it for a bunch of different games. So all those multi-part plastic boxes I had shown off, they're kind of what this is. I actually have some more kind of on their way that I am very excited about. I have the starter set for this core's war coming. So they have kind of a game in a box called uh, Battle of Rifles or something like that. And yeah, super, super looking forward to that. Does this guy have his feet out or are those boots? I'm gonna say he has little booties on. Um, so yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, this Core's War is kind of it's a war game that's been around for like I don't know about 10 years now. And you can play it in big scale or you can play it in like kind of like skirmish kind of scale. And I think that's kind of my goal there. And they're kind of these like kind of dumpy, kind of round anteater things. They look very 90s, like spy versus spy. Like, to be completely honest, I think they look stupid as shit. Um, I love their bodies. They have kind of these like Chunga's bodies, and all their gear is really neat because it's all very like fantasy World War One inspired. So I think that's really cool about them. But the actual creatures themselves, I think, look dumb. And it's because of this whole thing where they have like the helmet over their eyes. I think it looks really, really freaking stupid. Um, However, their bodies and equipment and basically everything but the heads, I think, are cool. So, yeah, I found new heads for them. And with a little bit of green stuff and a little bit of 3D printing, I'm gonna go from playing this Quar's War to this Possum's War, and I'm going to paint them all up as possums because I found possum heads on my mini factory that I think are adorable and will fit the choir bodies extremely well from what I can tell. So I am super hyped for this Possums War. And to be completely honest, I think this project, while kind of silly, right? I think it illustrates the power of tabletop gaming really, really well. Because like when you play video games and stuff, you don't have that level of control, right? Like I can't modify a game um, and just be like, okay, well I think the theme of this is cool. I think the models are really neat, but I just want them to be slightly different creatures. I can't do that in a video game, right? But here in the tabletop, I can 100% do that. I can just be like, oh, you know what? These dumpy anteater things, yep, they're now possums. All right, and I am all for that, and I think that's really like one of the biggest strengths of tabletop gaming is that you really can just be like, I reject the options, and I'm gonna kind of make my own. And it's sort of like one of the things that I really think Warhammer does a really big disservice to the tabletop hobby with. Um, because that really is, at least in my opinion, one of the biggest. God, I'm not even on camera. Yeah, terrible. Getting used to the new camera setup. I think that really is one of the biggest disservices. Because it's one of the. Oh, there's my fucking other brush. You guys probably could have seen that the whole time. Hmm. All right. So before we touch it up again, we're gonna have to figure the rest of it out. So he's got some clothes. He's got some booties. He's got some chainmail and some scale mail. So I think I want to do his clothes. I'd actually be really tempted to do them in like a dark black or like a dark gray. But I think I'm gonna do them in like a brown. I think. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do them like a brown. Um, so I've got this leather brown here, so I think we're gonna use that. Maybe we'll do some of their clothes in tan. Then we'll do like kind of a brown and a tan thing. So I think you could paint this guy easily, like he has pants on, if you don't like the jerkin and no pants look. But I think that looks cool, and I think it also brings more red out in them, which is what I want. And I think it'll match the demons a little better because none of the demons are like wearing like full pants, or at least I didn't paint them like they are. So, um, because I think with a lot of these kind of multi-part plastic models, you could probably like futz it and be like, I don't want this guy to be wearing just a jerkin and like no pants, right? I want him to have pants on. And you could probably paint his legs with pants for a lot of these models. Part of that is the fact that some of them have a little bit softer details. And also it's because they are slightly smaller, right? Like these guys are true like 28 millimeter miniatures. They're not like the larger scales like 32 and stuff like Warhammer is. So you kind of run into the situation where the details are a little smaller, and I feel like you have a little bit more creative control over that. You know what I mean? Because of it. So, all right, let's see. This guy's got like a sleeve hanging out here, so we're gonna paint that in. And he's got kind of a mix of metals and chainmail and stuff. So we'll paint all the clothes in on all of them first, and then go from there. But I hope anyone watching is having a nice day. I have had a very nice weekend. We went to the zoo yesterday, and that was really, really fun. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, the Honolulu Zoo is very nice. It's very well kept. All the animals look very happy. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's very cheap to get into. It's like $10 with the Kama Ina discount. Uh, and yeah, it's just a nice time. You get to walk around and stuff, and just kind of look at all the animals and all. It's very chill, right? It's not like this whole like you have to plan a massive excursion and you have to spend your whole day there like it is at like the National DC Zoo, right? Where it's like this giant thing. Um, it's just like, oh, we'll spend like an hour or two at the zoo. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, it's a very nice because of that. So okay, let's see. All right, we got a bunch of the brown on him. I might end up redoing this upper piece here in tan, but for now we'll just leave it all brown. And let's see what this guy's got. This guy, he just has the upper piece, and the rest of him is armor. And I guess he's got some sleeves in there too. So we'll do his sleeves. Yeah, I didn't super pay attention to making the sleeves match because I kind of like the idea that these guys had kind of disheveled gear. You know what I mean? When I painted those, or when I built those knights that I showed off a minute ago, I made a point to make sure that like if one arm has chainmail, the other arm has chainmail. But like these guys, I kind of wanted to be a little disheveled. Um, so I feel like that fits their theme a little better. You know what I mean? They're like hell kind of imps. They're like shithead infantry for demons. Like they're not getting the nicest gear. They're probably like getting no gear until they have to pick it off of a corpse. So yeah, kind of wanted them to sort of just be a little bit all over the place. Okay, last but not least, we got this guy here. He has a full leather jacket, and then underneath of that, he has what looks like chainmail sleeves. Ooh, it's a shot about in due time, is what it is. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I kind of wanted so one page rules, which is kind of what I'm playing with these guys with right now, right? A lot of the troops come in groups of 3. And at first I didn't like that in my skirmish games, but since I've been doing like the whole solo skirmish stuff a lot, I actually really like the groups of 3 because it means that you can have a lot of enemies on the table. Um, and it really speeds up like movement and rules and kind of their actions and stuff. Um, and I think it just works really good kind of for like enemies that you would definitely want to be like mooks, um, like that kind of just horde infantry. You don't want to have to move 300 termagants. But if you're playing in groups of 3, you only have to move 30 termagants. You're not moving 10. It's really nice because of that. I think it works really really well. So when I built these guys, I kind of built them with that in mind, and sort of built like each group essentially is like 3 guys. So they're all on separate bases, but the idea is that they would be together as a unit. So like this guy here, for example, he's one of um, 6 spearmen that I built. And by the way, I want to point out I only built half the box, so you get another X number of soldiers. You know what I mean? You get however many I had on the camera earlier times 2 with one box. That's $30. So it's pretty dope. Pretty dope. Uh, also, hello. Hello, Tutu. When you're hanging out with the Blood Angel pre-battle, I ask if he said anything, and he goes, certainly not Horus. I have to give him the side eye. Fair. Fair. To be honest, I haven't thought about Space Marines in a long time. I'll be totally honest. Oh, I painted some Space Wolves a couple months ago, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, I don't know, just kind of being out of like that news cycle and stuff. It's really done a lot for like my, I don't know, saying mental health sounds stupid, but because it's just toys, right? But it really has. It's one of the reasons I've been enjoying these like multi-part plastic kits so much. Like there's kind of no real story, so like I get to kind of make it up. Like as I'm sitting here working on them and you know thinking up like why there would be demons that are going to be my game. Um, why are they showing up? What are they there to accomplish? And it's kind of fun get into do that kind of headcanon stuff, right? Especially when there is like no major story, because like all it is then is headcanon, and that's kind of fun. It's a little bit of that like D&D thing. Like I feel like D&D has that same kind of thing going on. All right, let's see. This guy's got scale mail on the top, so we'll fill that in. And then he's got a whole bunch of chainmail, so we're gonna do that in the dark gunmetal color. Yeah, I actually don't even know what Games Workshop is up to right now. There was a Kill Team box that was kind of neat. It's probably been out and like sold out and gone forever by now because I saw it a while ago. But it was like Tyrannid, Worms, the Raveners, and something else. I don't remember what the something else was, but the Raveners looked really cool. Um, and for my Tyrannids before, I built a couple of them. So I was like, oh, it's kind of neat because I think they used to come in units of 3. Now but you get like 5 of them in the box, which is kind of cool. It looks like, or there was like 5 on the team or something. They kind of had like all like different kind of body modifications. Like one of them I think had like a big like spitter sack head thing, and I don't know. It just looked cool. They look like neat models. Um, but I have no idea when that came out. I've just been so out of the loop for all that news and stuff that like that could have legitimately been months ago. I have no idea. Or it could still not be out. I don't know. One of my coworkers said they were releasing more Space Wolves, and that's pretty cool too. But again, I don't know what they came out with. He was very excited because there used to be a guy that would ride around in like a chariot being pulled by like 2 dogs. And he kind of looked like Xanax. He was a big guy with me with a beard, like me with a beard. Um, and my coworker said he always hated that model. So he was very excited that there's like a new version of it. I was like, oh, that's cool. demons are here because the manager at McDonald's got really mad. This half the ship called in and the bloodthirster exploded. That's fair. I mean, if anywhere is going to worship corn, I think it's going to be a McDonald's, to be honest. Um, I imagine some days working at McDonald's, you have to worship a dark god to get through your shift, man. But yeah, this death metal color is really, really nice. It's super cool. I don't ever remember seeing it in the line before either. So I guess maybe it's new or maybe I just missed it. But yeah, it's like this like kind of iron mixed with almost like an olive green. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. And I think it works really good as like a bad guy metal color, you know what I mean? I think that's pretty sweet. Alright, now the other bad guy metal color we're going to use is going to be dark chainmail. um, so dark chainmail from Vallejo, but really any kind of like dark metal color will do. I just don't want everything to be the same metal color. So I'm gonna do the chainmail in this. This guy's got some chainmail down along his waist here, and then he's got chainmail sleeves. But yeah, I'll spin this around so I don't grab the wrong color. I'm really looking forward to my This Core's War stuff coming. The game looks like fun, and I think with the modifications I talked about, like turning them all basically into possums by using 3D printed heads, I think that's really fun. Last year my favorite project and my favorite game of the year was Dead Man's Hand. Partly because I did the whole like Fievel Goes West thing where like I had the whole board and the like everybody was animals and it was really cool. And like I still love those models and I really enjoy playing Dead Man's Hand. I should play more of that on the channel is what I really should do because that's a really fun game. And I made some new models I actually haven't gotten to use on the channel yet for that. I made a bunch of like fur trappers, which basically makes them cannibals. So they have a like a Wendigo as their like god. And they have like a bunch of like similar kind of creature, like wicker creature, like on their forces and stuff to go with them. Because I thought that was pretty dope. Alright, there's his chainmail. Get the next guy here. I'm getting some D&D framework minis to paint up soon. They're multi-part kits, so you can customize them. Got models for PCs and NPCs. Nice and high quality. Nice! Okay, camera. Please. Please, camera, please. Thank you, camera. That's fun. I've actually never built any of the D&D framework minis. So I hope they're cool. I haven't looked into those at all. I know they're made by Nolgers, right? I remember seeing a box of kobolds, I think, that looked pretty cool, but I didn't end up picking them up. But they definitely looked cool. To be honest, if it's gnolls or kobolds, I'm very easily like drawn to that, but Yeah, I think I was there to pick up something else. That's why I didn't end up buying them that day when I was at the game store. But yeah, I hope they're cool. I hope they're fun. I've been really enjoying the multi-part plastics. They've really been just speaking to me. I've been having a really good time with them. Like I've got wolf riders that go with these guys. I'll show you those in a second. They're not ready for painting yet though because they aren't primed. But as you can see, I'm not really doing anything fancy on these guys at all. I'm just kind of right now. I'm just blocking in my colors. I'm gonna do some washes and maybe some highlighting if I'm feeling fancy. Really, just kind of blocking in my colors. Um, yeah, that's really about it. All right, let me grab wolf riders. They are not primed yet, but yeah, I took the box of wolf riders for these guys, and I put like two on each wolf. One, it gives me some extra free wolves to use for other stuff, and I just thought it looked cool, like as a kind of like a team almost of like one archer guy and one melee guy. I thought it was kind of dope. And then I put like a boss guy. I figured this would be like the boss on one too. So they're pretty cool too. Um, I think there's a couple more kits in this like goblin line for them. All right, because each one of these lines you get like 30 models and they're like $30. Um, I think they have one that I think is called like light goblins or like maybe goblin slaves or something like that. And it's sort of like goblins with like less armor, a lot more like rags and that kind of stuff. And then I think they have like a heavy goblin infantry, or maybe it's called like heavy orc infantry, but really it's intended to be the goblins here. But they're like more armored, kind of like the demons I showed off earlier. I think they're more like that. So yeah, so there's a couple more in the line too, which is pretty cool. And all these parts mix and match. Like a bunch of these parts on these guys are from that Wolf Rider sprue. Like a bunch of the heads and the weapons and stuff. I think you get 15 Wolf Riders, which makes them like $2 a piece, and you get um, 30 goblins. I think 24 goblins. I don't remember. You get a whole shit ton of them for $30, so can't really knock it. All right, so that's the basics of their sleeves and their stuff done. I let's see. There we go. That's better. Um, I'm just trying to block in all my colors, and then after I do the leathers, I think I'm going to start doing touch up. So, yeah, so I think we'll do the leathers next, and then we'll start going through and doing touch up on them. So they're going to need a bunch of touch up, but while I'm here, while I've got the death metal out, I might as well hit it. But yeah, I am super hyped for my Quar project. Mega looking forward to that next week. So I'll get the 3D printed parts printing tonight, And then I should start getting the boxes of Quar either on Monday or Tuesday, I think. And then I can start putting them together. Once I have some of the 3D printed parts, or rather, once I have some of them primed, I'm definitely going to do a stream of painting those. Because I think a lot of people will find seeing those kit bashes interesting. So I think we'll definitely do a stream of painting those because those are, I think, pretty cool. I think the project's going to be a lot of fun. This guy has a whole bunch of like little armor circles on his jerkin. And I would feel remiss if I don't paint them in. So I'm going to do that. And I might not do an amazing job. We're going to at least get most of them. Because I think it will change up the look of his gherkin pretty heavily. If he's got little armor dots on it. Yeah, see, it does change up his look, even the little bit that's there. Alright, so our next course of action is going to be the leathers and then going from there. Yep, now he's got some dots. Alright, let's do our leathers. This is Pro Acryl Warm Brown. I really like this leather color. I think it is very nice. And being a Pro Acryl color, it has fantastic coverage, because they all do. And I think it will just work really good. So we're just going to pop in all the leathers with this. So that's going to be their boots and their belts. And if they have straps on like their spear and stuff, we'll do those too. But these kind of minis don't tend to have too many details like that. Which is on one hand nice, because it makes them look like slightly less cluttered. But on the other hand, sometimes those details are fun to paint, you know? So 50 on one hand, 50 on the other on that. But yeah, super hyped for this Possums War coming up. Cannot wait. Yeah, I was thinking about this plan for a couple of days, and then I was like, you know what? This Core's War Starters has on sale on Amazon. So I was like, alright, I'm going to pull the trigger on this project. So yeah, if you are interested in this Core's War at all, the starter set is like 20% right now on off Amazon. Which means you get 24 guys, all the rules, all the cards, all the everything. It's like 60 bucks. There's even technically terrain in the box, but it's not like, it's like kind of silly, kind of cardboard terrain. but it's technically there. But yeah, you get 12 of each faction, and then you get all the stuff to actually play the game, like the rule book and everything like that. So yeah, and I think it's just like $62 or something I paid, which honestly is very, very cheap for that much stuff. Considering you get 24 dudes in there. So now you could actually put together your own starter set for cheaper. You do that by basically buying two of the boxes of inventory and then printing out all the rules and stuff yourself. Um, but I kind of want the actual printed materials, right? Because I like having them when I'm playing on stream. I like being able to flip through them and stuff. Sometimes going through the digital rulebook's a pain in the tail, so on stream. So I like being able to have the physical thing to go through. Um, so yeah, but you can also print it out all yourself, and you could get some. You could basically get the same for about the same cost, maybe slightly higher. You could get uh, 48 guys instead. But I'm not that like I don't know. I'm not that like model hungry, I guess, right? Like if I want more quar, I'll just pick up one of those boxes down the line. I don't need to have like a trillion quar on day one. That being said, they're actually adding a whole lot of more models to those lines. Um, so they are adding specialists, commands, other factions, like all kinds of stuff. I was kind of really surprised how much it's like grown. The Wargames Atlantic line is. It's got something like um, there's a starter set I think, and there's like then after that there's like 6 new boxes, which is pretty crazy to be honest. One of them even has like this weird little tank tractor thing that's kind of cute. Um, yeah, and those guys actually the quar in there are actually like smaller. So I was like, you know what? If my possum plan works, maybe I'll pick those up and I'll make them like otters or something. Because they would, that's a cute animal that would still fit with the kind of like frumpy, kind of like, big booty body. I thought would work pretty good. So, um, if you want otter kitbash heads, Duncan Shadow is the person who has them. He also has fox kitbash heads and a couple other animals. I think he has squirrels this month for the next couple of days. So if you would like squirrels, I think he has squirrel kitbash heads this month. Because I'm actually going to back him later this afternoon um, to get the squirrels. All right. Okay. So that's some of our stuff all painted in, all of our leathers. And now we can start going through and doing our cleanup. So first off, um, I guess let's do the spears. We're gonna do our spears in tan. Are we feeling tan? No, I guess we're feeling leather. Leather brown it is. It's fine. It'll be the same color as their clothes. Actually, that might really bother me. We'll see if it bothers me. We'll see. Yeah, it's gonna bug me. Um, hmm. Maybe we'll hit the wood area with like a contrast paint or something. Maybe we'll do that. I think I have a really nice brown contrast paint. Alright, so we'll paint it like this to begin with, and then we'll contrast paint it, I think. And that should give it a slightly different color. Because I really don't want it to be the same color as their clothes. Alright, so now we have most of our colors blocked in. And our goal is going to be, after that, to do cleanup. So our target for cleanup is to make sure that we don't miss any details. Because when you're batch painting, it's very easy to miss details. Because the models kind of just blur together in your head. And I also want to make sure that we have kind of like clean lines on everything. That's my goal, is that when there are two different surfaces that connect to each other, I want them to be visibly different, right? I want there to be a clean line between those two surfaces. This is one of the things that I think makes models look really nice, is having kind of that clean line. Partly because we're going to use a lot of wash next, and the wash is going to accentuate that line. So if you don't have that clean line, or clean-ish line, doesn't have to be amazingly perfect, but you can't really have any real spillover. If you have that and you have a wash, the wash is going to accentuate the spillover, because your eye is going to see the shadow from the wash, and then it's going to be like, oh, there's more brown on the other side of this shadow. Why is that the case, right? And it's not going to like it. So yeah. So we want to avoid that. Like, see here, the spillover on the cuirass here. Like, we're going to have to come back and clean that up. Or here at the top of the sleeve, right? That kind of stuff needs to get cleaned up. So I'm just kind of repainting all the brown sections here, because I want to, I don't know why I'm saying so much today, but I want to, one, make sure I darken those up, and two, I want to make sure they have those clean lines I was talking about. So I'm going to do the handle of his sword in the same brown so it stands out. It's a little detail. We could do it in the same color as the rest of the leathers, but it's fine. It will look cooler if we call it out. His satchel's the same way. That would look cooler if we did it in a different color, but I'm going to let it go. I don't think I'm going to paint the satchel in a different color. But if we did, we'd probably give us a nicer looking result. Just because it's a nice small behavior. The reason I'm not going to paint it in is because I didn't on the demons. The demons have a couple satchels like that, and I didn't paint them in as different colors. So because of that, I'm not going to do that here. Because I want these guys conceptually to match my demons. Yeah. So we're not going to do that there. Okay, and you can see I actually missed a couple spots on this guy. So we're gonna hit those while we're here. So I shorted his belt up too much. So I'm gonna go back and make sure that's right. And then he actually has a tiny amount of chainmail on his waist. Just barely see it there. Hello. Not a whole lot. I'm painting some Wargames Atlantic goblins from Oathmark to be the imps for my Frostgrave demons. Because I kind of wanted them to have some like generic foot infantry. So yeah, these guys I thought would work really good. I'll show you one next to each other in a second. Let me just finish this little blob of chainmail. There we go. All right. Let me finish up all the chainmail touch up on this guy since I'm here. So yeah, things like the edges of the sleeves and stuff. Anywhere there's that kind of blur and blend over, we want to like get rid of. You know, here, see like here at the base of the arm there, you can see where like the sleeve clearly ends, but the arm did not. Yeah, we want to get that kind of stuff. Okay. Um, so yeah, so these are some of the demons from Frostgrave. So bonk and bonk. They're pretty cool. I like them quite a bit. Here's one who's like yelling, who has like his mouth open and a crossbow. Um, so I think they're pretty fun. And I wanted them to have some like imps, some like generic kind of troopers. So I thought these Wargames Atlantic goblins would do a really good job. And then the goblins also have wolf riders that I kind of doubled up so that there's kind of like a team. Um, but the wolf riders aren't primed, so yeah. But they're pretty fun. I think they're really cool. The wings expansion for the Frostgrave demons, I didn't. Um, they so you can get that in metal, or I believe you can also get the STLs for it on their My Mini Factory shop, which to be honest is pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna grab some just chainmail here, and we're gonna use it for stuff like belt buckles and that kind of stuff. Little bits of silver that we don't want to be the dark gunmetal for the that we use for the other thing. But yeah, I didn't get them wings, but they I think they are. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking maybe you can't get the STLs for that. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, I am. I'm thinking about Wargames Atlantic has a set of kobolds in STLs, and then they put out an expansion for them that has wings, so you can make little dragonlings. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think the wings you have to get in metal, and I'm not the biggest fan of metal, so yeah. To be honest, I kind of also like the like kind of very grounded, kind of earthy look to them. Um, they very much feel like they could be in a fantasy movie to me from like the early 2000s, you know, kind of back in the day when kind of everything was like brown. Um, they have that feel to me a lot. So yeah. Okay. It's one of the reasons I wanted to go with these Frostgrave imps or Frostgrave goblins as my imps instead of like printing out like actual imps. Um, you know, like throwing fireballs and that kind of stuff, right? I thought these guys would look cool and kind of match sort of like the feeling of the other guys. There we go. As you can see, the red's going to need a lot of touch up, but that's fine. We started with the red and we will end with the red. The red is the brightest color, so it is going to draw your eye, so we have to make sure it looks nice. Okay. I think we'll also paint the horns on this guy's helmet too, just because it's a fun little detail. Yeah. Uh, they're wicked wolves. Yeah, the wolves are part of what convinced me to pull the trigger on these guys. I actually bought them before I had a use for them, so before I decided to make them imps, I actually just bought them. Partly because I just wanted to build the wolves. um, the wolves are really cool. Now, you only do get 15 in a box, but that does make them like $2 a piece, which is kind of nothing, to be honest, especially for really nice models. So, yeah, so by doubling up the riders there, what I'm going to end up with is I'm going to end up with a bunch of wolf cavalry, and then I'm going to have some leftover wolves, which is kind of exactly what I want. There we go. So now I can use the leftover wolves for other stuff. So yeah, I'll get some cool Hellhound cavalry out of these guys, and then I will also get some cool leftover wolves. And they're really nice. They have a lot of personality and stuff. They don't have a ton of customization, which is kind of lame, but they look good. They look cute. I like that they're kind of like thicker, right? Like they don't look. I don't know. Like some of the GW wolves look like cartoonishly mean, and I don't. I think they still kind of look like dogs, and I like that. Okay. All right. Ready for the next color blocking or the next color cleanup. So we're getting down there to getting these guys done. Okay. Now this one is mostly cleanup now, so I'm gonna block in to make sure we have kind of that nice red coverage, so we get that nice crazy bright red. Just kind of go around, make sure our lines are nice, our areas between things are nice. Just kind of turn the models all around while we do it. Yeah, see, like there's some bleed over there underneath the sleeve. I'm gonna let it go, but you could clean that up and it would make the sleeve look nicer, but honestly, I don't think anyone will ever see it. So I'm just gonna let it go. I mean, I'll know it's there, and that's gonna bug me, but to be honest, because there's so many of these guys, I'm gonna forget about it. Okay. Yeah, just blocking in our colors. This guy has his mouth open, so we'll have to paint his teeth and stuff. So I still have to grab a color for that. But it's fine. It's fine. And yeah, if you didn't want these guys to be like bare-legged, I want them to match the demons I showed off. But if you didn't want them to be bare-legged, you could easily paint these guys like they have pants on. And it would still look just as good. Okay, now we gotta get his neck here. So I apparently hit that with some of the cloth colors. Alright. And then we're going to have to paint in this guy's teeth and hair. So he does have hair as well. He's got kind of like a little top knot thing going on. Alright. There's the back of his hand. Okay. Next up. Just keeping it rolling. I like this head a lot. This head feels very like Brian Froud to me. I think it's Brian Froud, the Labyrinth designer guy. The guy that did all the designs for, and then Jim Henson did all the puppets and stuff for Labyrinth, I think. Pretty sure. Feels very, very much like that to me, so. Um, yeah, that's one of the reasons I think these guys actually are going to work pretty good is kind of like these like heavier fantasy kind of imps is they do have a lot of variation in the faces, right? Like they're not all very similar looking the same way like you might see with like Gloomspite Gets or something. So yeah. Then once we get them all touched up and everything, we will go ahead and let them sit for a couple minutes. I think we're going to take a second to look. I'm going to show off some of the more terrain from that terrain Kickstarter. I think I'll show off some more of that because I want to do some more of that. Because I really enjoyed our game last weekend. That was really fun. And that terrain, I think, worked extremely well for that game and for playing on stream. So I want to break more of that Kickstarter out and play with it. I do have a bunch of the monster tiles done, but I think we're going to take a look at the like crystal tiles, because I think mixing some crystals in with the just the rocks and the scatter and stuff will be really cool. So I think this guy is definitely kind of wearing pants, but if I paint it red, he'll look like he's not. Yeah, I think from the kind of some of like the folds in it, I think he's definitely wearing pants. Or the intent is that he's wearing pants. He's got kind of a little bit of like an open jerkin, so we got to paint his neck there. Nice. Yeah. So they're definitely fun, and they will definitely have fun showing up in the games, right? Being able to like, I think next time we play, what we're gonna do, which should be next weekend. I think my plan is to do a like start some more Star Quest, but do it um very Frostgravey. So like our goal is basically to loot and get as much loot as we can and then get out. I think that's what we're gonna do. Um, and I think that'll be pretty fun. Sorry, we're kind of off camera there. My bad. Still, after having to redo this setup twice, I'm still not used to where it goes. I'm keep mashing some models for the Doomed, a skirmish game that's based around Bjorn Warbands and horrors, or the monsters in the game. bolt action. Huh. Okay. I don't know where my The Doomed rulebook got. That's a pain. I love The Doomed. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. Um, Not last year, the year before, it was my favorite game of the year. Um, it has systems in it that are so thematic, and even by playing with yourself, they lead to such really interesting like events and activations and stuff that like I don't know. I was kind of blown away playing with it, playing it. So yeah, I absolutely love the Doomed. I don't know, my rulebook should be on the shelf. I might have taken it with me when I went on vacation last time, because like I'm not seeing um, the Napoleonic one. What is it called? Um, we're like Napoleonic witch hunters. I'm not seeing that one on the shelf either. So I'm guessing I took it with me last time I went on vacation. So that means it's probably in my backpack. But it's yeah, fantastic game. Um, I really enjoyed it. I so the way that like the for anyone who's never seen The Doomed, what it is it's a small scale skirmish game where you fight against like AI controlled horrors, and these horrors have unique events and effects and everything. Um, so you kind of roll a horror up randomly, and then you don't really know what it's going to do. It can do all kinds of stuff too. Um, like the reactions that they can do is really cool. So, um, yeah, just really cool. Like out of the blue, like you know, you hit it, it hits you, you get stunned, someone gets knocked back, someone else gets pulled into the fight, this person's down, they got back up, they hit it, they knocked it down, it got back up, like it's crazy. It's just kind of like this big chain of crazy shit that happens. It's really fun. Um, and a lot of the monsters are really neat. So there's some in there that are kind of like more horde like. The first one you fight is like one big monster. Um, because I think the first one is like the butcher or the mouth or something like that. I think that's the one they tell you to fight in the tutorial. Um, and he's kind of just like one guy, but like he has like food sources you have to destroy. But later on, there are some that are kind of like one guy, but then like maybe you're fighting like a nest, and if you damage the nest too much, it explodes into like a bunch of little spiders, or maybe all the nests maybe they're like tumors and they like move around, and or maybe they explode with like ichor and ooze and stuff when you hit them. um it's really cool, and the creatures do a whole bunch of different stuff. There was like a outdated like war robot, and it had basically like a death laser that it would like charge up throughout the match. um and like if you got hit by the death laser, you were just gone. Like there was no rolling that could save you. It was pretty cool. I really liked the Doomed a lot. Um, Also, from a streaming standpoint, it is extremely good because it is so fast. Um, because there's no rolling in the there's no measuring in the doomed. Let's see. That's the one I want to look at. No, this one is demonic caves. Okay, we don't want that one. What are these ones? Let's see. This is some kind of weird ass Eden. And this one is spider nest. Okay, I don't want spider nest. Pretty sure there's one that's like crystals. Let's find the crystal one. Of course, I put all of my 30-minute mission stuff on top of this box. I like playing with 30-minute mission stuff. Just kind of like pulling it out and putting it together like Legos. It's really fun. Where are you? Are you the one? No, you're demonic caves as well. Damn it. What are you? You are also demonic caves. Last but not least, the one I wanted. I mean, I want the other ones too, but they're not the ones I wanted to open today. The demonic caves, I'm going to do that tile set entirely in black, like lava rock, and then I can put it over top of like a lava mat. I think it'll be really neat. All right, well, while we wait for our boys to dry, so before we can do washes, they need to dry. So we're going to check out Deep Mines. I love these tile things. I think they're so cool. I do gotta print some terrain for them, or some like scatter terrain for them though. Ooh, all right, let's check that out. So it's kind of like rock, and there's some like broken wood and stuff, and then like a whole bunch of crystal. Yeah, that's really cool. How does this work? That's a weird piece. Let's clip a couple of these out. Because let's see, you get 4 of those and then 2 sets of clips. The horrors are very unique and I want to make a few of those. Yeah, I had a really good time like looking through my like the models I already own and like finding ones that fit for it. Um and that was really fun because it was like I kind of felt like I was getting to like replay with some of my old toys and I really enjoyed that. So like this guy here, um he was actually my first the first monster, the like mouth or whatever. He was the first monster of that. And then I used piles of nurglings as his like meat piles. And it was really cool. So, yeah. Very fun. Very, very fun. So yeah, I can't recommend that game enough. Also the lack of rolling to move is really cool. Because explaining to someone that they can move as far as they want to, but only in a straight line, and anytime they have to stop, it counts as a new move. Explaining that to someone works really well. Like if they have never played a war game before, it's a really nice way to like simplify movement, right? Like because everyone can remember that they can go in a straight line, but everyone's not going to remember that their guy has like 3-inch move and this guy's got 6-inch move, and you know. And the funny thing is, the creator realized that apparently a bunch of people were really unnerved by not measuring distance to move and like moving in like the normal way. Um, so he actually just said, if that bugs you, just say everything can move 6 inches. And yeah, Yeah, God, so cool. Yeah, they're cool, aren't they? I like them a lot. They're fun. Um, God, I played a whole campaign of the Doomed. I want to say 2 years ago. Yeah, all the videos are up on the channel. Um, really, really, just wonderful game, wonderful game. See, this is a problem. I genuinely like so many of the um indie games and stuff. Like they just fill me with joy, right? Like talking about the Doomed there, or the kit bashes that I'm gonna do for what are they called? This Core's War, right? The kit bashes I'm gonna do for that, like um, that just fills me with joy, right? Like it's super exciting to me. Um, and it's very hard to be excited by a lot of the like kind of more traditional Warhammer stuff for me these days. But like, oh man, like talking about the Doomed got my juices flowing, like oh, it's so good. Um, all right, hold on, I must have two of these clipped out, and then we can see what the hell they do because it's a really weird piece. And our guys they gotta wait in that one anymore anyway. So let's see. Okay, all right. So this is a really strange piece. It almost looks like it's like a mine cart with like coins. Almost. It looks like it's like kind of like a pit of coins. And it can, I guess it just fits over any tile like that. Or I mean, you could put it between tiles like this and have it fill in the space. It could do that too. Pretty easy. You can grab some like clips and then play with it. All right, so we take that and we take this guy and we go bing, bang. Oh, oh man, I could take these possum choir I'm gonna make, and I could play the Doom with them. Oh, it'd be so good. So yeah, I guess we could do that, and then that guy can plug in here and there, like that. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. He would need something to keep that side up, so I guess I could just do this, right? Wait, does that not work? Oh, I guess once the teeth start going, he doesn't actually fit anymore. Then the teeth start right away on this. Okay, that kind of sucks. But yeah, we could still use it like this. Use it to like cover a gap, I guess. Come on. I mean, that's not bad. It doesn't stay perfectly though. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't stay perfectly like that. I feel like if you'd have to have um, something really on each side of it, and then it works. You know. That's kind of a shame. Uh, but let's see. I think these. Yeah, that's the intent right there. Is to put them together, and then you have this like kind of like big pit of what looks like gold. Why there's a pit of like gold coins, I don't know. But that's pretty cool. And I guess it just goes together like that. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Don't super know what the intent there is, but I mean, if you put it over a block, it fits perfectly, but I would like to try to save the blocks if I can. So yeah, that's a neat piece. I don't see a ton of use for it, but you are going to get 2 of them out of this set, though, which kind of sucks. But these are super cool. These busted like crystal walls. They're really neat. And I like the ones that have a little bit of bend to them, so they kind of get in the way, but not really. They're really cool. So yeah, they're going to be super fun to add to the table. All right, let's stop messing around with this. Our guys are probably dry enough. And uh, I would love to watch those videos. Oh, thank you. Yeah, they showed me on the channel I think 2 years ago. I think I had a lot of fun with that game. I was playing ignore all the dog hair because that's the life of owning a Shiba Inu. But dog hair aside, I was playing these guys. They're my like Skaven Redeemers or whatever they're called from Necromunda. Um, and I just customized them to be Skaven. So yeah, they're really fun. A lot of the Necromunda models for work really good for the Doomed. All right, so I'm going to use the same kind of paint recipe that I've been using for kind of all of my washes, and that's going to be like about a 4 or 3-to-1, and then mixed with either wash medium or speed paint medium. I do think I like the speed paint medium better, so I think I'm going to switch to using that. I think it just makes it flow a little bit more like I want it to. And we're going to do 2 drops of speed paint medium. And then I'm going to mix that all up in there. And we're going to give our friend here a nice, healthy dose. Yeah, I think the speed paint medium makes it kind of run a little bit more. And I think I like that. Because I think it helps preserve like the color in the flat areas, but still gets in the crevices. So yeah. God, what other game did I play that year? Veritwood. Veritwood, also very fun. There is a Wild West version of Veritwood as well, but I never actually got around to playing it. I own it, but I didn't actually get to play it. Veritwood is like a cultist game essentially. So you're kind of like a crazy cultist, like praying to some Cthulhu god throughout the game. It's pretty neat. Um, so you essentially are doing like little squad battles, and you're kind of like stopping every now and then to pray and try to do some horrible shit to the enemy using your god. It's pretty cool. It's a fun game. Um, yeah, I like Veritwood as well. It's not as good as the Doomed, unfortunately, but it's very fun. Um, yeah. And there's a couple expansions for that now, I think, which is cool as well. So okay, so that's going to be their washes. I wanted to do something else to them. What was it? Oh, I wanted to repaint their sticks, their spears. Yeah. So I'm gonna try repainting their spears with dark wood because I don't want their spears to perfectly match their jerkins. So I'm gonna just try to give them a little bit of different color because right now they perfectly match the jerkins, and I'm not a fan of that. So I'm using Stormcast Eternals with Plague Guard bits and making the Reborn Mutant Warband. Nice. Yeah, when I played Verretwood, one of my characters was a Stormcast Eternal. Um, Reborn Mutant Warband. I don't remember what Warband I played. Maybe it was Mutants. Yeah, I don't remember which one I played. I think I have a video where I make a team. I think. But if I don't, I definitely played through a whole campaign. Um, yeah, it's also kind of cool because your characters can get pretty powerful in the Doomed. With some of the like unique weapons and stuff you pick up from the monsters. And that actually means you can like I don't know. You can like you're not you kind of start off like just being like, "Oh god, I hope the monster doesn't notice me," to, you know, uh you're doing quite well, and I think that's pretty fun. Like I think I had like a thing that called in like a freaking like artillery strike if I remember right. Um and there was like a big laser rifle I think I had. It was some cool stuff. Oh no, it was like a sack, and I could throw it, and it would cause like poison damage or something like that, if I remember right. Yeah, and I think someone else might have had an artillery strike too. Anyway, yeah, it was cool. You get some cool because like sometimes when you play single player games, and this is something I one of the very few complaints I have of One Page's rules single player stuff because they are fantastic as well, but a lot of the stuff you get for playing it isn't very exciting. Like a lot of the equipment and stuff you can loot. It's usually just like, oh, here's some better stats. You know what I mean? Um, it's usually not like, some actual crazy like game modifying like ability or whatever. But in the Doomed it is. Like you get cool stuff in the Doomed. So yeah, I'm just touching up the wood on these guys too, because I kind of want these guys and the demons to match, or the demons and the imps to match. So just slightly watered down dark wood over top that lighter wood color. And it should give some modeling to the wood too, which is will be nice, right? Because wood is never the same color all over, right? Like it varies, like it's even in its own like in its own texture. or surface, I guess is the word I'm looking for there. Yeah. So figured I would do those as well. Since I got it out and I want them to match. Sweet. Okay. Uh, like folk horror? Oh, for Veritwood? Yeah, Veritwood is like pure folk horror. The like theme setting for it is really cool. You are like an average person that lives in like the forest, right? In some like medieval world, right? Like so pick whatever medieval world you want and you live somewhere in that forest, right? Um and one day you just hear this crazy like like bell ringing or something and essentially like it is the moment where like the god that humanity used to worship dies and is gone, like, right? It's the so you basically are now stuck in this forest, in this like little town in this forest, um trying to find your way in the world without like humanity's guiding light of this god. And that usually involves you trying to like worship basically anything you can so you can, get advantages over other tribes and stuff that are also in this giant never-ending forest now because, for whatever reason the forest just goes on forever now and you just are stuck in it. And yeah, it's cool. It's a fun game. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Um, yeah. Also, games like The Doomed are very good for playing with miniatures that might not match the scale of other stuff you have. So, um, stuff like Conquest minis are super good for that because they're really big, right? And you just don't need a lot of minis. So if you have a couple of minis, it still works really well, you know. And they're cool minis. I like the Conquest stuff a lot, so and it works really, really good because most games you're gonna have maybe 6 models on the table. You're not gonna have many, so it works good for the bigger scale minis. It's a nice game for that. Um, yeah. All right, so let's look at our imps, and then we'll go ahead and call it because we've been streaming for an hour and a half already. We can kind of see what we got done. There we go. There's Mr. Imp number 1. His red could definitely use some more definition. I'm thinking the red could use some more definition, but it'll do for now. It'll do for now. Yeah. They're pretty cute little guys. They're pretty cute. And they're going to go with the demons very well. Alright, so like there's one of the demons. There's a bunch of the imps. They're going to go really well. Height-wise and style-wise, I feel like they fit really well. The demons could use a little more definition too. Maybe I was just too heavy-handed in painting them. Yeah, maybe the same is true for the goblins as well, with some of the detail. I feel like the faces don't have as much detail as they should. So, maybe that's my fuck up, but still pretty fun. Still pretty fun. Red Demon Boys. Yeah. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it. We got this unit of demons here, all Demon Imp Boys all here, all painted up. Yeah, ready to fight some stuff in the Hellish Caves that next week. Yeah, so we'll have some demons that can show up next week, potentially on a dice roll. It should be a good time. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a good one. Next week we'll play some more. Next week is 4th of July. So maybe we'll even do a special stream on 4th of July. We'll see. Don't hold me to that. But we'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you